Hey, Journey students, Jadner here. It is officially week 3 of 40 days, and we're going to be talking about something that I think we all kind of wrestle with, and that is greatness. See, when I was growing up, I was in middle school and high school. I would even say when I was in elementary school, I loved sports, right? So every time I had an opportunity to play sports, it was always so that I could get better. I always looked to get better every single day. I remember one year I think it was in the summer of before I started my 8th grade year, I was outside practicing hockey all the time. Like, I'm talking about every single day during the summer. I'm on my rollerblades outside practicing because I just wanted to get better. I wanted to get greater. And that kind of carried into who I am today. See, every waking moment that I have, every opportunity that I have to grow in my ability as a leader or as a person or in anything, I mean, even in finances, I am constantly looking to improve. And that can be a real good thing, but sometimes when that carries over into me being selfish, it can be really damaging to me and to the people around me. And honestly, like, I have this burning desire that I have to kind of temper sometimes, that I have a desire to be great and know more than anyone else. I try to learn everything that I can, but it kind of causes me to push everyone aside. Like, I know that it drives my wife nuts when I am listening to an audiobook or a podcast and I like have my headphones in and I talk to nobody. Now, granted, I am a little bit productive while I'm doing that. I'm cleaning the kitchen or I'm taking out the garbage or something like that. But because I'm isolating myself in order to do that, it kind of creates this barrier. See, like, whether we all realize it or not, we're always looking to get better at something. And we want to be recognized and told how good we are. But if we're not careful, our ideas and of greatness and our good intentions can quickly turn sour. See, and the thing is, we could be really hard on ourselves too. We look in the mirror and we see good things or we don't, so we try harder trying to be better, and then nothing really works out. We just wind up kicking ourselves. So we focus on our weaknesses, our hang-ups, and our struggles and our dysfunctions, and we overcompensate, only to realize that it's not living up to what we expected. We try to replace the bad things we believe about ourselves with the things that we believe are good, but they only make us feel worse. And here's the thing. We don't give ourselves the opportunity to have freedom. And freedom is key when it comes to growing in greatness, and more importantly, growing in greatness in the way that God is calling us to grow in greatness. Because see, like Pastor James talked about this weekend, growing in greatness for us isn't through self-serving, but it's through serving others. And Pastor James, like, he shared the story about James and John in the Bible, the 2 disciples coming to Jesus and saying, Jesus, when you're like on your throne, can we sit at like your right hand and your left hand? Like, give us authority. We want to be great with you. And Jesus doesn't give them a hard time about asking to be great. He just gives them a hard time about like their means to get there. He wants to change their direction because the way to get to greatness is different than what they anticipated. And that's the truth now. We see it in the world all the time, right? So the truth is that when we look at the world, everybody wants to be great through how they can serve themselves. How can I get people to do what I want them to do? See, but Jesus doesn't ask for that. He says, how can you get to greatness? By you serving others. So I want to read from Galatians 5:13 because I think it's a key part of what we're talking about this week. Galatians 5:13 through 15 says this. It says, "For you have been called to live in freedom, my brothers and sisters, but don't use your freedom to satisfy your sinful nature. Instead, use your freedom to serve one another in love. For the whole law can be summed up in this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. But if you are always biting and devouring one another, watch out. Beware of destroying one another." See, here's what this passage is saying. It's saying that God's definition of greatness is radically different than what most people think. See, like we said, in the eyes of the world, you take your gifts and you take your abilities and you try to get people to do things for you. Where Jesus says, where God says, you want to use those gifts to do things for people. And the truth is that the world's path to greatness doesn't allow you to actually be great. In fact, it leaves you more empty and thinking that life is meaningless. And that's kind of like the freedom that we want to get to, the freedom that God's talking about here. The freedom that God is talking about is this freedom to not use and be selfish with what the gifts that God's given us, but instead to use it to serve other people. See, real change happens when you focus on Jesus and keep your eyes off yourself. Real change really happens when you focus on Jesus and keep your eyes off yourself and then focus on serving others. That's what we want you to do. So you don't use people for your gain, but instead you use yourself for the gain of God and other people. So you only spiritually get stronger when you start making yourself available for God to work through you. So what does that look like for you? Are you serving in Journey Kids? Are you serving on our welcome team? Are you serving as an usher? There's tons of opportunities for you to serve, but even outside of the church realm, what does that look like for you in school? How are you serving the people around you? See, our goal is not to be great by forcing our way into situations. We don't strive for greatness because it makes us more money or gives us more likes on Instagram. We strive for greatness because what it does is it allows us to share the glory of God more with other people. And that's the goal of this. We're not here to self-serve. We're here to be people who serve. And that's what I want to challenge you with. What are you doing? When we understand our position and our purpose, we're comfortable grabbing the towel, grabbing the apron, grabbing whatever we have to do, and serving other people with it. We don't need to be in the spotlight. God wants to use you exactly where you are with the giftings that He's given you. Because here's the thing, you are not God's backup plan. You're not. And you never will be. God always wants to use you. And His eternal plan was set in motion long before you were born. And greatness really isn't an option. When it comes to serving God and loving people and loving others and having the freedom to do that, it's exactly who God has called us to be. So if you want to be great, use your gifts. What does greatness look like for you? How does God want to use you to be great? Not so that you can feel better about yourself, not so that you can make more money or that you can have recognition, but how does God want to use you to help others and to bring glory to His name so that He becomes more well known? Guys, that's all I got for you this week. You're about to go into your groups and check and go through some group questions. Continue to read your 40 days devotional, and we're excited to see what God's going to continue to do over these next few weeks and 40 days as God continues to work in and through us as we learn more about Him. Guys, I'll see you soon.